I'm Lena Bennett, 32 years old, a financial analyst in Anchorage, Alaska. At my sister's engagement party, her charm hit a scam that broke our family. The banquet hall buzzed with relatives, friends, and neighbors, all gathered to celebrate her big moment. I stood by the gift table forcing a smile as she swept in her fiancé trailing, both beaming with confidence. I'd poured $50,000 into our family savings fund, thinking it was for our future. But that night, everything shifted. My parents toasted her, calling her the family's shining star. Then she turned to me, her voice sharp. "Lena, you need to move out. We need your space for our future." Her fiancé nodded, his gaze icy. My stomach dropped, a fire sparking inside. "I've been funding this family," I started, but Mom cut me off. "Lena, she's got big plans. You're not standing out." My sister smirked. "Step aside, sis." Their words stung like a blade my role erased. I clenched my fists, my anger rising. They thought I'd just nod and obey, but I was already planning to tear their perfect facade apart. "Where are you watching? Drop your city in the comments. I want to know who's with me." My sister's words cut deeper than I expected. "Lena, you're slowing us down," she said, her tone biting, as we stood in the hallway, the party's noise fading behind us. Her fiancé lounged nearby, checking his phone, a piercing look my way, like he was sizing me up. I'd just been told to move out for their future, and now this. I kept my voice steady, my hands clenched. "Quinn, I've poured everything into this family, my savings, my career." She laughed, sharp and cold. "Career crunching numbers. We need a real vision, Lena." I turned to Mom, hoping for a trace of fairness. She was fiddling with her earrings, eyes down. "Mom, I've been funding our family's dreams. Doesn't that count?" She sighed, her voice flat. "Your sister's got big goals, Lena. You need to make space." Dad stepped in, his tone final. "She's right. They're going somewhere. You're not." My throat tightened, their betrayal sinking like a stone. I wasn't nothing. I'd turned down promotions, skipped weekends, poured every spare dollar into our family savings fund, believing it was for us all, while my sister took the applause. Her fiancé glanced up, his smile taunting. "Face it, Lena. You're not made for the spotlight." I bit back a retort, but something felt off. I'd seen her new emerald ring sparkling too much for her salary, and their polished sedan outside way beyond their means. 3 days ago, I'd found a receipt in his coat, $10,000 for investment fees from our fund wired to a company I didn't know. Funds don't just disappear like that. I'd also caught him on a call muttering about locking in the deal before he saw me and hung up fast. I left the hallway, their words searing my anger building. In my room, I fired up my laptop, pulling up the fund's records I'd helped manage. One entry stopped me cold, a transfer of $12,000 to an account labeled Prime Ventures, no paperwork attached. My sister had always been the star charming everyone while I balanced the books. Now I saw her charm for what it was, a cover. I texted my friend, a financial whiz who'd sniffed out scams before. "Grace, I need you to dig into something," I wrote, my fingers firm. They thought I'd stay quiet, fade away like always. But I was done being their shadow. I was going to rip their lies apart. That night, my sister's words, "You're slowing us down," rang in my head, a bitter sting I couldn't shake. The fund's records with the $12,000 transfer to Prime Ventures kept me up. I needed the truth. I slipped into the guest room where my sister had left her laptop, its screen still on. Her password was the same weak one from years ago. I opened her email, my pulse hammering, and found a message from her fiancé, property fund transfer. $50,000 done. It detailed a wire from our family's savings to a project called Skyline Estates with a note, "Keep it off the books. More coming." My stomach twisted. This wasn't an error. It was a deliberate heist. I texted my friend, a financial analyst who'd spotted scams before. "Grace, I've got something serious," I said, sending the email screenshot, my hands shaking. She called back fast, her voice low. "Lena, Skyline Estates is a front. It's a money laundering scheme tied to offshore accounts. Your sister's fiance is running it. My breath caught a chill spreading through me. The fund I'd built every late night balancing accounts was being used to fuel their lies. I drove to my parents' house at dawn, the email printout gripped tight. They were in the kitchen sipping coffee, planning the wedding. Mom, Dad, we need to talk, I said, tossing the paper on the table. Quinn's fiance is stealing our savings, $50,000 gone to a fake project. Dad's face tightened, his eyes narrowing. Lena, stop causing drama. You're out of your depth. Mom clutched her mug, her voice soft. Your sister's future is set. Don't ruin it. I pushed harder, my voice cracking. This is proof they're laundering our money. Dad stood, his tone harsh. Enough. You're jealous of her. Let it go. Their dismissal hit like a punch, but I'd expected it. They'd always picked her no matter what. I grabbed the paper, my hand steady now. Fine, you won't listen. But I'm not stopping. I left their words fueling my resolve. Back at my apartment, I dug into the fund's digital logs, pulling up transactions I'd never checked. Another email from her fiancé popped up, this one, to a contact labeled V Payout Secured. She's got the family covered. I cross-checked Skyline's investor list. Half the names were ghosts. No real contacts, just shells. My friend texted, found their offshore link. Meet me tomorrow. I stared at my screen. My anger, ice cold. They thought I was a nobody too dull to matter. But I was about to tear their scam wide open. The next evening, I walked back into the Anchorage banquet hall, my heart racing but my focus razor sharp. My friend had helped me compile a damning audio file, emails, transaction logs, her fiance's voice from a recorded call bragging about rerouting the funds. I'd spent the night transferring it to a flash drive, my fingers steady as I planned my move. The party was in full swing, guests laughing, my sister dazzling a crowd with her charm. I slipped into the AV booth, the door unlocked, and plugged the drive into the sound system. It took seconds to sync it up, my pulse hammering. They'd called me dull, pushed me aside, but tonight they'd face the truth. The speakers crackled, and the room fell silent. The audio started, her fiance's voice clear and smug. $50,000 to Skyline Estates, off the books. Then the email text wires to fake accounts, promises of clean returns. Gasps rippled through the crowd. A family friend, a local realtor, stood up, voice shaking. What's going on here? My sister's face froze, her wine glass trembling in her hand. Her fiancé darted toward the booth, but I stepped forward, my voice cutting through. You thought I'd stay quiet. Your scam ends here, Quinn, she shrieked. Lena, this is fake. Turn it off. But the recording played on fake investor names, proof their project was a money laundering front. Guests shifted, some pulling out phones to record. A colleague of my sister's pointed at her. You used our money for this. My parents pushed through, Mom's voice desperate. Lena, what are you doing? Dad yelled. Stop this now. I held my ground, eyes locked on them. You told me to let it go. This is the cost. Her fiancé tried to bolt, shoving past guests, but two cops stormed in, badges flashing. Ethan, you're under arrest. One barked, cuffing him as he stammered. It's not what it looks like. My sister dropped to a chair, sobbing, pleading with the crowd. It's a mistake, you know me. But they turned away, their trust shattered. I stood tall, the weight of years lifting off me. Every sacrifice, every dollar I'd given, every time they'd overlooked me, it was over. I walked past my sister, her cries fading, and didn't look back. Mom reached out, her voice breaking. Lena, we didn't know. I shook my head. You chose her lies. Live with it. The cops hauled her fiancé out the room, clearing fast. I stepped into the Anchorage night, the air crisp, my heart free. They tried to bury me, but I just burned their world down. The fallout was brutal and immediate. By morning, Skyline Estates was exposed as a fraud, its name splashed across Anchorage news as a money laundering front. My sister faced lawsuits from investors, her polished image shattered, as she stood outside court, her expression worn, dodging reporters' questions. The tight-knit Anchorage community turned cold neighbors who'd once praised her now crossed the street to avoid her. Her fiancé sat in jail, his charm replaced by a grim face in booking photos. My parents' social circle, built on years of hosting events, evaporated. Their calls went unanswered, their reputation buried. I watched it unfold from my small Anchorage apartment. My laptop open boxes still stacked in the corner. 2 days later, my phone rang with Mom's call, her voice trembling. "Lena, we're sinking. The lawsuits, they want $70,000 we don't have. Please come back." I gripped the phone, my heart steady. "You chose her lies, Mom. Live with it." She choked back a sob, but I hung up. Dad texted soon after, his tone softer than ever. "We were wrong, Lena. We need you." I stared at the screen, my resolve firm. "You needed me when I was funding your dreams, Dad. Not now." I didn't respond. I'd poured my savings, my time, my trust into this family, only to be dismissed. I packed my things and moved to Colorado Springs, Colorado, chasing a lead for a senior analyst role at a top firm. I landed it crunching numbers that shaped million-dollar deals, my work earning praise. I rented a bright loft downtown, hung a few plants, and joined a local book club, the mountain air lifting my spirits. My friend visited one evening, her smile wide as we shared dinner. "Lena, you're thriving," she said. I nodded, a spark of pride igniting. I was finally living for myself. Back in Anchorage, my family was crumbling. My sister took temp jobs, her star power useless, shunned by everyone she dazzled. My parents sold their home to cover legal fees, moving into a cramped rental. Dad worked as a delivery driver, his energy drained. Mom did clerical work, her hands shaky from long hours. They sent text voicemails begging for help, but I let them pile up unanswered. My sister sent a letter, a half-hearted apology claiming she was misled. I tossed it out. They'd chosen her over me, ignored my warnings. I wasn't their lifeline anymore. Leaving stung, but it freed me. I'd carried them too long, and now they faced the ruins of their choices. 6 months later, I sat on my balcony in Colorado Springs, the mountain air cool as I reviewed a new client portfolio, my name now known in financial circles. My career was soaring $30,000 from a recent deal, my analysis shaping major investments. I turned my loft into a sanctuary, walls lined with art from local markets and books from late-night reads. My friend dropped by most weekends, her laughter filling the space as we planned hiking trips. "Lena, you're unstoppable," she said one evening, clinking her glass against mine. A calm resolve settled in me, a strength I'd never felt before. I was building a life that was mine, not theirs. Back in Anchorage, my family was barely scraping by. My sister worked odd jobs, her once dazzling charm now a liability, shunned by everyone who cheered her. My parents lived in a small rental, their social status gone. Dad took shifts as a night watchman, his face etched with exhaustion. Mom did temp clerical work, her energy faded. They sent text voicemails, even a letter from my sister pleading for forgiveness, claiming she was tricked by her fiancé. I left them unanswered, stacked in a drawer. I'd given them my savings, my time, my loyalty, only to be dismissed. Their regrets couldn't undo that. Looking back, that night at the engagement party was my breaking point. I stopped being their shadow and chose my worth. Family isn't just blood, it's the people who see you, who value you, not the ones who push you down for their gain. I learned to set boundaries, to stand firm even when it hurt. Don't let anyone, family or not, dim your light. Speak up, walk away if you must, and build your own path. Thanks for following my story, for staying through the betrayal and the fight. Walking away from family is tough, but sometimes it's the only way to save yourself. Have you ever stood up to your family, claimed your voice? Share your story in the comments. I'm listening. If this hit home, hit that subscribe button. Let's keep sharing stories of strength.